Alex, I don't want you to do anything or move right now, but you may or may not be live on the world's greatest video game podcast.
You told me not to move.
Just, there's a spider above you.
His name's Raditz.
It's not a I wouldn't confuse Kakarot's brother from Naruto with...
You're doing this again.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday, December 2nd, 2022, 7:05 p.m. This is Game Bites, episode 13 or 14. I lost track. I blame all the pain medication I was on the other week. How you doing tonight, Alex?
I'm doing great for episode 34. A lot better than episode 33. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
Now you actually have me concerned. Do you remember how many episodes we've done?
71. It's week 71, dude.
Week 71. That's actually, fun fact, the original NFL had 71 games, but then they realized that was more weeks than there was more games than there were weeks, and so I'm gonna stop with that bit. Anyways, do you have a good week, sir?
Yeah. I got one more week before I leave the country, and it's finals week for grad school, so it's all coming to a close.
Remember that time you left Pennsylvania to move to California, and now you're in grad school back in Pennsylvania, but you're still living in California?
Getting married again in 4 months, twice in 4 months, and yeah, I remember that one time.
Well, I mean, congrats on the 2 marriages. That's exciting news. Double the responsibility, double mint gum. When do you fly out?
Today's sponsor. Double mint gum.
Not a sponsor. You fly out this 10th, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were prepping a nice little dance for your beautiful Joy, right? Now, are you ready for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
We have it all done. Victor mixed a song.
Oh, I want to hear it. Can I hear it?
Not right now.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
You'll see the video. I'll post it on Facebook Live. No, yeah. You'll see the video.
Yeah, as long as I ask for it, right? Because then it's like, hey, didn't I text you those photos? I'm like, no, I haven't talked to you about that. And then,
since that conversation, I still haven't even sent you photos. So
no, you definitely sent me some photos of your engagement for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely sent me photos. Anyways, it's been an interesting week in gaming news. I imagine most people are still playing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Alex, is that where you still are? Mentally, physically?
Yeah, spiritually, everything. Yeah, about it, yeah.
Okay. How where are you at in the game right now?
End game. I need to trade with someone who plays Scarlet because I only have 15 Pokemon left in my game that I can possibly get. The other, I think it was 37 is all... or 25 or something, is all Scarlet, so I need to trade soon.
Oh man, if only you knew someone that played that game.
Yeah, I wish I lived with someone who had the game or did streaming with someone who had Scarlet, but I'm not that lucky.
Wait, does Victor still have he has it, right?
Yeah.
He's just been busy.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, here's my thing.
Grad school and a wedding and stuff, I guess.
Is he in grad school too?
No.
Oh. Okay, so it's just been you. So I beat the game. I did the end game. I then found out I should have been taking most of the classes that are happening. You know what I mean?
I finished the math course because I really wanted it to get technical, and it didn't. But I haven't taken any of the school stuff. I forgot about that.
Okay. Yeah, so Greg, friend of you and I from college, Mr. Oatmeal. He's a doctor, if anyone wants to know, Dr. Neon Oatmeal. If you have any weird foot funguses on your feet, send him your pictures. I can give you his text message. It will be in the description. Yeah, he takes them and he turns them into a nice yeast for beverages like beer. No, that's just another job you used to do. Anyways, Greg told me that you do those classes and that's actually how you find out about the legendaries and all that stuff. So again, we want to do a spoiler cast. I don't know when or if we're going to get to it, but without spoiling too much, all I'll say is, my gosh, quality performance issues aside, there was so much to that game that after 30 hours of pushing through, I'm still of the nature of there's still so much to do. I don't feel like I've really uncovered everything that game has to offer by any means. So
yeah, that's still how I am. I mean, it took me a whole day to do all those legendaries that I think you're talking about. with the posts in the ground.
Yes, yes. And so that's the thing. If you take those classes, you'll find out what those are. I've just naturally found them on my own. I'm like, well, what the frick did I mess up? That thing just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so
yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, I probably got to do these timed or something. No, they're all sequential. You can do whatever you need to.
Well, so it's interesting. And I think keeping with that news, obviously we talked about how there's DLC in the works. You kind of gave me the notion that there's a time aspect to each game, Scarlet and Violet, and I've learned to see what that is, just given some things. I will say this: it seems like it's the most anime Pokemon game ever. Naturally, the show is very anime, but like the story itself in this game more than others of like, I just want to be the best. Like there's some crazy stuff that happens at the end that's like this could be like Dragon Ball Z if it really wanted to be to some degree.
Yeah, all the crazy stuff that happens in, is it Area Zero?
Yeah.
Is that what they called it?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was called that in your game or Area Infinity. I don't know what they're doing.
Ooh, interesting. So yeah, have you seen any of the news about the patch that just hit?
Yes.
Okay. Have you tested the patch out?
No, I just got home 30 seconds ago.
Really?
This is a fake background. I'm in the car. I just pulled in. Yeah, no, I just got home.
Man, you have that Naruto stuff everywhere, don't you?
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is everywhere. I have my Naruto stuff right here. It's right next to me. I'm not kidding.
Where's all my your Yu-Gi-Oh stuff?
Here's actually, this kind of does look like Yu-Gi-Oh. The hairstyle, right?
Yeah. That pops a lot better in your lighting in there.
Yeah, I have neon lights to it's I looked up best lighting to display your Yu-Gi-Oh action figures. And I don't know if this bit's gonna impress anyone or not, or just make people mad. But yeah, I heard so did you read the actual notes of what the patch does?
No.
Okay.
But I do see videos of frame rate looking a lot better. But I read earlier this morning, people were saying like performance wasn't even addressed in this patch. So if you're seeing it, it's like a placebo effect. But I'm seeing enough videos where the frame rates walking around the towns and stuff looks a lot better.
Oh, get a snap! That wasn't supposed to happen. Yeah. So overall, I'm trying to find the notes, and Nintendo, I would say this: address some glitches related to music not playing when it should. Specifically during the champion battles on Victory Road, some other select bug fixes related to the season that's coming up.
The Charizard raids?
I think some aspects around that, which is kind of cool right now, right? They do have Charizard, Charmeleon, and Charmander raids going on. So that's actually cool. My friend texted me, he's like, I just got a Charmander in a trade, and it's still not in a Pokedex. But they have him in the game.
I wonder if that was bred. I didn't know there was actual Charmander or Charmeleon. I'll have to look. But I wonder if someone got the Charizard and already bred it.
I don't think it was bred. I think it was, what is he, a lizard type Pokemon?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bred Pokemon is Doxpun. What am I thinking? Fido.
Yeah, there is literally a bred Pokemon in this game now.
There's a bred dog Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah. So the one thing it does say at the end, which I think is hopeful, which I don't know Game Freak's history enough to say this is something they've done before and then never delivered, but they say at the end of their version 1.1.0, so that's where we're at right now, December 1st, we are aware that players may encounter issues that affect the game's performance. Our goal is to always give players a positive experience with our games, and we apologize for the inconvenience. We take the feedback from players seriously and are working on improvements to the games. So, hey, they must see the success, which again, there's got to be 13, 14, 15 million copies sold at this point. And they must think, okay, we really have the capital and value. We have the player base to work on this, especially with the DLC coming out that you hinted at. And I don't know. I think maybe I don't think you're going to see anything obviously in December or January, but maybe early spring you'll see some major patches. Have you played multiplayer yet in this game?
I've been doing the raids, but not like the Union Circle, I think it's called, where you play with people, because you can't just join a randos game. But if we formed a party, we could do it, or any other random person I live with that plays Pokemon. But I haven't done that, where I think you can have up to 3 people in the same game. But like to give you some sort of insight as to how that works. Like we can see the same Pokemon in the overworld and stuff. And like if there's a shiny, like if I join your game and there's a shiny Pokemon there, I can catch it and take it away from you. So like that's how, you know, like you're in their game and interacting with what's on their screen. So
that's interesting. Part of me likes that. Part of me would hate that because shinies are rare and I tend not to care about them. But if I would have one, then I would care.
All the Pokemon on the overworld. So
yeah, that's
all seeing the same stuff.
That's pretty cool. So apparently the worst performance issues come down to when you're doing that group multiplayer mode, where some people say when you have more than 2 people in a group online playing together and you're going towards a town, like it gets down to single digits frame rate, which I mean that's worse than those classrooms.
I've had, it's funny you say single digits frame rates because I've had straight up, it just like nothing's happening. Everything's moving fine, but nothing's happening. Like there's no moves being done. That one's not attacking. Everyone's just sitting there like, and it's just like that for like 30 seconds. I'm like, I know my game crashed, but I'm staring at animations, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, I couldn't think of a Pokemon fast enough. Pikachu used Thunderstruck. Thunderstruck. Pikachu used Thunderstruck. But it's like there's so much lag and communication between those 4 players and the actual game. I guess the 5th Pokemon on the screen. You'll like heal your party. But at the same time, they just did a super effective hit, so it kind of like wastes the whole thing, and it's just like, and then you did enough damage to the thing, but it has to do the animation for their shield breaking, and at the same time, the timer's running down, and like all that stuff isn't queued properly in the game yet.
Yeah, and that's something I've experienced well from a networking perspective when you do those terror raids with people, specifically, obviously when you're doing them online. It already has the factor of like you can kind of all attack whenever you want. So it has to take the input of people, and it probably has to look at everyone's Switch's internal clock and then parry it up and then kind of make that play out when it all comes together. And let's be honest, I mean, Nintendo isn't known for their world-class internet experience, which...
And Game Freak isn't known for their online multiplayer.
Yeah. So all that aside, I've had fun with the terror raids. I spammed the heck out of the Eevee ones last weekend. I forgot how many evolutions there were for Eevee nowadays, and that was kind of cool. But yeah,
they're on the overworld. That kind of saves you some time. Like if you just by chance, like I caught 4 of them out in the wild, and like the one that I was most worried about was Sylveon, because that's the fairy type, and I don't remember what it has to evolve, but I know it's. I don't even know how they evolve it in this game, because in the other games it had to do with either a move it knew or. Like it's charm or something, I don't know. But I'm glad I didn't have to go through the effort of evolving that thing.
I forget where I caught that, but I did catch it in the overworld, and it was a pain. Like, did not want to get caught. And then even battling it against one of the Team Star battles, I think one specialized in those Pokemon was a pain. I was like extremely overleveled, and freaking Tinkerton and that guy was just like, "Hey, do you want to hate this game?" I'm kidding. I don't know.
You're here too early.
Yeah, I was not, but I was just not prepared because sometimes I just brute force with a certain type. I don't know. Performance issues aside, I still had a lot of fun with the game. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I have more friends who are finally getting real far into it, saying like, "Man, this game's just a blast." So, is your stance still the same? It hasn't changed much at all since you've gotten more into the end game.
As far as how much I enjoy it,
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's still there. I still like it as much as day one, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, nothing faded with it. I still think it's the most replayable. I like, I'm trying to think. Those Terra raids, I like the Terra raids more than whatever Sword and Shield had to do, just because you don't have to wait.
Yeah.
But I really do miss a little bit of the freedom that Arceus had with just catching stuff. Like, you know, with the just throwing the Pokeball and hoping. They could have just kept the same thing, put the rates lower that you still have to battle them. But like, I really did like that in Arceus a lot. But I do like, you know, Violet a lot right now.
It would be cool if there was some type of setting where, you know how you can let your Pokemon go out and free attack, where if you could mark a Pokemon in your Pokédex that basically says, "Hey, if you run into this, I want to catch it." And,
oh, that's cool. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
And so then when you do the free attack mode, instead of just getting items from killing it, because you're literally like killing a Pokemon, then you get like its parts, which no one's really talking about. Like, I just got some teeth from that thing.
You're knocking him out and then pulling the teeth out of it.
Yeah,
it's gonna get broke up. He's just knocked out. He's just tuckered out.
I just got some Slowpoke tail. Like, we're not gonna acknowledge that. You know, we're gonna cook it over the fire. Yeah. What if we get less violent and we just catch them? And I think that's something that you could possibly do in a future game that kind of gives you something people liked from Legends, but also keeps it much more focused on the battling and capturing too. But yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to it. I would say something else I'm looking forward to and might get me to buy a PlayStation 5 again. Final Fantasy 16.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you played 15. The same time I played 15. That's you named your dog Noctis, right?
Yeah, this is Noctis.
Yeah.
She just teleports all around the place.
Yeah, Noctis likes to drive in fancy cars with the boys and listen to the...
You'll see a bone flying across the apartment, and all of a sudden she teleports to the bone and hits you with it.
Just like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
And we played that game the first time, like we were playing it at the same time, and that was the first Final Fantasy game I fully played of that nature from start to finish.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've played other ones, of course. I've dabbled with the weird Final Fantasy adventure games on Game Boy that eventually turned into Legend of Mana as a series. I think there were like 3 of them. Those were more so like Zelda type games, not turn-based action, but just action. And I like where the series has gone. I've played a good bit of 7. Still have to play 7 Remake. Going to play Crisis Core. But this is kind of surprising to some people. Final Fantasy 16 is most likely going to be rated M. Have you seen this?
No.
Yeah.
That is, That's interesting. I'm wondering what they would put in it that they've bounced around themes before, you know? So like what is necessary in this story to turn it to M?
Yeah. I don't think 14 is rated M. If it is, it's because of online interaction, and the law states that you really don't have to put a rating because of that, which, my gosh. Yeah. I've played online MMOs that have shocked me into fear with what people have done. But just on a side note, never turn proximity chat on in an MMO fantasy game. Never do it. It's not going to end well. So Final Fantasy Type 0 was a game that was rated M. And Strangers of Paradise as well, which was the recent dark...
So is it just the violence?
I think it is. A lot of people kind of, looking at the last trailer were like, maybe it is because of the violence and some of the camera perspectives they choose to highlight, which it's interesting. Type 0 was a PSP game, eh?
Yeah.
Did you play that one?
They remade it or remastered it, like a PS4 port.
Yeah.
I played like 20 hours of that game. I never finished it, like, because it's a calendar game. Like you finish days and stuff, and you keep working. Close to like Persona 5 actually, where every day is being ticked off. And I don't like that. Was like a limited. I like more freedom than that. I wanted to go back and farm stuff. Like that's what I used to do in Final Fantasy games, is like farming or grinding and stuff. And it was extremely limited in that, at least early on.
Yeah.
So I never finished it, but yeah, it was ported eventually.
Okay. Yeah. So that'd be a game. Any Final Fantasy game I am always interested in. It's just a matter of, do you have the time? Same with Persona 5. Persona 5, I'm interested in it. I just don't know if I have the time. But yeah, so I think that's the idea, is that it's such a graphic game. It seems like it's going to get an M-rated ESRB value, and that's based on some of the ratings that have come out just from other countries so far. It's kind of hitting that max tier below AO, if you will. Mm-hmm. So no, that did surprise me. Not that this matters, but I always wonder how that impacts sales for a game, specifically of that genre.
Impact Call of Duty sales.
True.
So I don't think anyone has anything to worry about.
That meme, we talked about that last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I called my sister today, and my nephew was home from school, and I knew he was home from school because I saw my Steam notification go up, and it said, blah, blah, blah is playing Call of Duty. And then while I was on the phone with my sister, I heard my nephew screaming at the top of his lungs because he was he's at that age where you're a young teenager who's extremely sweaty in a game like that and is just going all out. And I was like, is that him? Because it was high pitched. It's pretty funny, but yeah, you're right. It might not. And in fact, Final Fantasy is a game that probably attracts an older audience relatively, anyways, right?
I think so. I mean, we were playing it when we were kids.
Fair.
But I don't know if anyone has. I don't know. I feel like the next generation, their attention span's a lot shorter. Fair. I don't know. I didn't know if there's any. Is there actually any data on like age groups, like who even bought like God of War?
Yeah.
Or Pokemon games?
That'd be a good question, because it'd have to be on some type of secondhand data source, right? You don't typically collect that information at the store.
Yeah.
So
it would be, yeah.
It would have to be some type of data survey of research that happens either via a Square or a Santa Monica or a Sony, and based on like, hey, what's your age? What consoles do you have? What games?
Like your surveys kind of thing.
Yeah, like what games over the last year have you played? But I mean, I can tell you one thing: Pokemon is bought by everyone. That game, it has to be at the level of sales it has right now. So, oh, it's interesting. I'm curious. So,
it'd be weird if it was just all 29 to 42. That's it. There's not a single child playing this game right now.
No one younger. If they try to play it, they get yelled at by their parents. Put it down. It's my Squirtle. You know,
you're not going to prestige in Call of Duty if you play Pokemon.
Yeah. What are you thinking? You're just gonna become the next Dr. Disrespect by playing Charmander all day? Like, this isn't how it happens. The I don't know how to say this, but the lesser cousin, the popular cousin, the distant but not distant relative of Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, that's a close cousin. That is like a child. Oh man, yeah, that is a weird.
That's like,
I mean, like Square Enix got close to Disney at some point, and they had a baby. All right, and now it's just kind of out there, and it's growing up, and it's doing its own thing.
And they have to pay homage to it. I saw an image of Disney World where someone gave Mickey Mouse a Keyblade, and like they were dressed up like those characters, and so like they still promote that, which is kind of funny. But I do know there are some people in this community that really like Kingdom Hearts. I've mentioned this. I like Kingdom Hearts 3. Just burnt me with its cutscenes that were incredibly. There was just a lot of them in the first like 40 minutes. But all that aside, Kingdom Hearts 4 looked really interesting and much more mature. And I don't know anything about it, so I wanted to get your thoughts with the potential of this game to be rated M. Do you think Kingdom Hearts 4 might try to grow up with its audience in a way and maybe tell more of a mature story? Because it just looks more realistic, you know?
I mean, I would okay, well the graphics are going to be a lot better, but I would pull back on what your expectations are for the whole game, because even though things can look cartoonish in some of those worlds in Kingdom Hearts, but then you go to Port Royal and everything looks like Pirates of the Caribbean, like not HD graphics, but like more detail and stuff like that. So like, yeah, even that world that's in that trailer, that just might be what that world looks like. But then as soon as that was loud. And then as soon as we go to Olympus, it's going to look like, Hercules again.
Hercules.
Will be a lot better. It's funny you brought up Kingdom Hearts in connection to Final Fantasy, because the one game that I was playing this week other than Pokemon was Kingdom Hearts Memory of Melody or Melody of Memory. I've been playing that this week. I've never touched it. But it's like that rhythm game of like all the songs.
Yeah. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, because like it's easy to play a rhythm game when you know all of these songs like by heart. So I'm sitting there with my eyes closed playing some of them. Like when you realize like whatever difficulty you're setting on, you know what melody is going to follow. But yeah, it's just kind of nice listening to all those songs again. Sometimes I would listen to them at work. I'll just like find like a 4-hour just like playlist on YouTube and just like play the whole thing. But yeah, as far as the next game, that world that they're in right there is going to be that world. But obviously they're going to travel to other ones. Who knows what Disney's even going to let Square Enix use?
That's what I was thinking after I asked the question. Like, they're not going to let Mickey shoot somebody, you know?
I mean, like, even when 3 was in development for like a billion years, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Disney has Marvel now. We're gonna see Iron Man in Kingdom Hearts. Oh, they have Star Wars now. We're gonna go see we're gonna fight Darth Vader. None of that happened. We got another made up Toy Story world, and
Hercules.
I mean, they had to include Frozen, but yeah. So I mean, they have so many properties now. It's just like Square Enix has their hands full with what they can use.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see Star Wars or Marvel thrown in there, and it does seem like the new aesthetic platelet, not platelets, whatever it is. Seems like it could it seems like it could. I can't speak.
We are messing up.
yeah. It seems like it could work well with a Marvel or Star Wars type world. Like, imagine a level where you're Mickey flying a TIE fighter, blowing up a rebel base. You know, like something happens.
Yeah, I forget what I was gonna say, but I was Tangled, Frozen, I'm looking forward to it though. I'm always gonna play those games. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Sora has like he's not 12 anymore. I hope they lean into it more, but I don't know what more they could. Not even adult themes, but like more young adult themes, I guess. But like they're fighting world from like multi-universes and stuff like that. It's kind of like, as far as getting more mature with it, it was already like there, you know, as far as like the damage that's being done and the violence and stuff like that.
The underlying philosophy of Kingdom Hearts is interesting because while it does use a lot of, I would say, childlike characters and aesthetics, it's wrestling with I think fundamental human concepts such as love and sacrifice and friendship and all of that. And to me, that's why I think Kingdom Hearts is it appeals to so many people, both young and old, because it has the front cover of, hey, look, it's my favorite Final Fantasy character, or hey, look, it's Donald, he still can't talk. And then it's also still it's wrestling with, you know, themes that matter from childhood to adulthood, right? And I mean, some of it makes some of it's incoherent as all get out, but I kind of like it. And like trying to make coherency out of that is part of the fun of like, wait, what's going on here? And you were right, Birth by Sleep did make everything come together a lot more. Although I never finished the Aqua storyline, so
you need to finish it because then you didn't even play the 4th storyline.
What? Oh gosh, I can't believe that's the thing. Okay, yeah.
There's not a whole storyline, but after you finish all 3, there's another chapter. Yeah.
Okay.
It's super important.
Well, can't play Kingdom Hearts 3 yet. I gotta do that. Yeah. Well,
yeah, you should finish. Aqua's is the best. That's why you do it last. It kind of like glues everything together, and she's like the most fun to play with. Like all of her spells are absolutely insane. But yeah, then there's another chapter after that.
Interesting. Well, let's hope that Star Wars comes to it, because it would be cool to use a lightsaber and chop off some Disney characters, or vice versa. A Disney character uses a lightsaber to chop up some darkness, right? I mean,
or using those speed bikes on Ondor.
Yeah, the Keyblade as a lightsaber would be sick. Yeah, that would be my favorite. I don't care how weak it was compared to whatever you get from frickin' Olympus.
It's like the critical's the highest, but it's like not the most damage.
Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, though, 2 classic games. Now, let me see. 1 classic game and 1 more recent game that's been received very well. Just got some news around it. We talked about PlayStation Plus the other week when we were comparing Game Pass and Sony and their strategies and you know, where Microsoft's competing at. And we just kind of hinted at, like, hey, it seems like a lot of people overall wish there were more games coming from the Sony catalog on the PS Plus. There's a game that I did not expect to hear that's coming out. But did you ever play the Battlefront classic games back in the day? Star Wars Battlefront 1 or 2 classic versions for PlayStation 2, I want to say.
PlayStation 2 ones? Yeah, that's the only Battlefronts I've played.
Yeah.
I didn't play the remakes, but I love Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah, those original games, whenever they came out, they were everything I ever wanted from a Star Wars game. Because Halo was out at that point, online play was out at that point. It's like, oh, what if you could play these games? Just what if you could be in the Battle of Geonosis and Clone Wars, basically? You're like, yes, please, sign me up. Mace Windu, everyone, I don't care. So PS Plus is bringing the classic version of Battlefront 2. So not the more recent one from 2018 or 2017, but the classic version. Here's the thing. It is a revamped version of the PSP Battlefront 2, which I actually have right here. Now, from what I understand, that was kind of, obviously, it was for the PSP, so it was made specifically for Sony. I see your face. I know they made one for the DS as well, but the DS one was more like Diablo-like. It was isometric top-down.
Yeah.
But this is the PSP version coming to PS Plus. And as of right now, I don't know if there's any confirmation of multiplayer online, but it's very much the you're going to be able to play through the stories and relive that classic PSP
PS2
game.
Versions already on there?
It's a great question. I don't think so. Battlefront 2 to PlayStation Plus. We'll see. No. Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of them on there, like Jedi Starfighter and Pod Racers Revenge and stuff, but I didn't know if those two were also thrown on there.
Yes, those games are on most storefronts. Like I have a lot of those games on my PC, which Jedi Starfighter was a great game. Now, yes, I found that interesting. But going to the competitor of PS Plus, Game Pass is getting Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, which, have you played any of the Lego games?
Only the Marvel superheroes and the
DC?
It's not DC, is it? It's DC. It's not the one with the Batman on the cover, but yeah, it's like, the DC one.
This is a supervillain one.
Yeah, not that one.
Okay. Did you like those games?
I always wanted someone to play them with. Like, I've tried playing them with my wife. I don't know if it's the first wife, second wife, my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, now wife. But like I tried to, but it doesn't keep her attention. And so when you're playing it by yourself, you either have to grab a second controller or stuff. But like I like them. I like the, it's silly sense of humor, but it's puzzles and stuff like that, and gratuitous Lego violence.
Very gratuitous. Just Legos guts everywhere.
Yeah. It's just fun. You unlock a new character and you just got to see what does it do.
I played all of the original Star Wars games when they came out back in the day. So they made the original movies and then they made the prequels. I played them hoping to find out what was going to happen in the movie before the movie came out, but you could play the game first. It was like, who's this guy with all these lightsabers and he's a robot? And why does he sound like he smokes 17 packs a day? General Grievous. But they were good games. Side note, telling your wife she's technically your ex-girlfriend, highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. But so this game came out about 5-6 months ago, I want to say, and I was interested in it, but honestly with time I didn't pick it up. And I was curious too because it's 1 through 9 and it's the Skywalker Saga, right? So I might try it, especially that it's on Game Pass. There's a lot of other things going on. But I've heard good things about it. To your point, it's everything people liked about the classic games with a lot of quality of life improvements. So it's a little bit more open worldy at times, and tons and tons of characters to unlock. So,
would you say it's coming to Game Pass or
it's coming? It's coming to Game Pass, but it's on PlayStation. You just have to buy it. Which if you wait, maybe you'll get it on PlayStation Plus at some point. But people were making a lot of hoopla about it. Like,
I was going to say that sounds like a big game to throw on the Plus, but did you see what the PlayStation Plus monthly game was this month?
No, what is it?
They besides there's 2 other games, Biomutant, another game, but they put the entire Mass Effect Legendary Edition remakes on the game on the PlayStation Plus this month, free download.
Yeah,
insane.
Right. Yeah, and that's for you to own permanently, right?
Yep. As long as you are a paying customer of Plus.
Yeah, so I mean, to that point, that's big, right?
Yeah.
Biomutant, you like that game quite a bit, right?
I did. I can understand where people say they get bored with it after like 20 or 30 hours. The trick to that is platinum the game in less than 20 hours, and you don't get bored with it. But yeah,
just be better.
That game had like such unique the trailers for the game. It just looked like so odd and so cool, and I was like, all right, I had never heard of this game. I'm getting it next Friday, like day one, And I platinumed it within a week because I was just like, I was just kind of hooked on. I knew the gameplay loop. I knew exactly what it was going to be. Completely free roam, cartoony action, and I just never put it down for like an entire week. I was hoping, I was like, hey, if there's ever DLCs, I'll play it, but I don't think there ever was.
Yeah,
but I liked it exactly for what it was.
Yeah, so I mean, people will probably have a rekindled fondness for the game, especially if they're getting it for free on PS Plus, right? That buy-in's always makes it easier to say, you know what, this is a good game. I'm just sitting here and it's free right now. So yeah. I played that as a demo at E3 2019, and I remember it came out, I think 2021, right? Or 2020. I can't remember. But that was
last fall.
Yeah, so 2021, late 2021.
No, yeah, maybe it was. Wow. Yeah,
either way, I remember it being delayed a bit, because even when it was a demo at E3 2019, it was already kind of announced. Like, I remember seeing the pre-order special edition at GameStop for quite a long time.
That had a cool figure with it.
Yeah, the big, it was like the $100+ version. So it was a game that caught my eye at first, and I was really curious about, and then it just kind of took a while, but it didn't probably hit with the full thunder. But this is probably a good example of how a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus could breathe new life into a game of this nature, right?
Yeah, it's weird for most games like that come on there. They usually have like, okay, here's the game for free, but you can throw some extra money our way if you want to play the DLCs and all that stuff. But this game doesn't have any, There's nothing more for people to buy if they want to. It was released May 2021, which is later than I thought it was. And I was trying to picture where I lived when it was released, but it's not lining up.
Okay, yeah, and that's, I mean, another example of that too, like Mass Effect. Mass Effect doesn't have any DLCs. That's that Legendary Edition. That's just hundreds of hours of great gameplay.
Arguably one of the best storylines in gaming. Like, it's a very tight trilogy. Yeah, it's so good. It's such a cool experience.
Still need to play it
all the way through.
Still need to play it. When's it gonna happen? When am I gonna man up? I don't know. Well,
I platinumed when I got that Legendary Edition. I platinumed the first one before even going on to the second one, and then I got so close to platinum the second one, but I was like, I'm so excited. I just want to play the third one, because I played the multiplayer on the third one a lot back then, way more than I did for Andromeda. But I was just excited to get to the music and the storyline of 3. But yeah, it's so bittersweet. Oh no, I'm not going to spoil anything.
Please don't, because I me personally, I still want to experience it. Like, I always get so far in the first one, then I bounce off, and it's always in the
remake or the original.
The original and the remake. Like, I played it.
Legend?
Yes,
you played it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I had it for Xbox and PC. But then I played the original one. I played the original one for the 360, probably winter 2012. I borrowed Darren Young's Xbox 360 and Jamie Phillips, Professor. I borrowed a bunch of games from him, one of them being Assassin's Creed 3 and another one being the original Mass Effect. And
okay.
Yeah. But that's pretty awesome. I mean, Xbox games for gold still exists, but it's so secondary because Game Pass is such a big thing that you kind of forget. To me, I think they need to do something with games for gold where they either give Xbox, because that's still something you get for a payment you make for your gold service, right? Like that's buckled in with gold Game Pass Ultimate. But if you don't have Game Pass Ultimate, you just have a regular old Game Pass, and then you want to play online, you still get Game Pass Gold. Excuse me, Xbox Gold. Gosh, I should take a nap. But and I think that to that point, similar to PlayStation Plus, if you buy a game if you get an Xbox Gold game, you get it forever. And it's been kind of weak of late. So Yeah, that is somewhere where PlayStation, with its catalog of IP that they own, has an advantage for sure.
Yeah, they can always throw something in there that's a winner.
Like they could throw Ghost of Tsushima on there, and that could sell PlayStations.
I think it already did a couple months ago.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you look at the data and you see a spike in PlayStation sales.
Yeah,
just because people that are with it, they'll be like, you know what, this is the game I want. That's another game that I wish would come out on PC. But that's just a good example of something they could do there. Where Game Pass just has more of a always appealing aspect to it, where PlayStation kind of can create major spikes if they decide again to put any of their, like, God of War Ragnarok a year from now, 1 month where it's free on PlayStation Plus. That will move PlayStations for sure. Especially if they timed it up with a brand new PlayStation 5, which is rumored. I don't know if you've heard about this. There's supposedly, potentially within next year, you might be seeing a new model of the PlayStation 5. I imagine.
Is it like the skinny one?
I imagine similar, and this is just pontification, but I think the precedent's been set for two SKUs, right? Your PlayStation 5 Slim and maybe your PlayStation 5 Pro. But I would think you see a Slim first, just because of the feedback people have gotten with the form factor of that console.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's nothing new about it.
And I just know in the past couple of months, people who've wanted a PS5 for years are finally getting theirs, and then all right, guys, here's a new one coming out soon.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much widely available anywhere I look nowadays. Which is great, honestly, because then it's just like, hey, this is what I want. You can get it, but it is. Yeah, at what point do you wait, right? Like, or at what point does a PS5 Pro not matter? Because what are you gonna do? Like, oh, I can play 8K 60 frames. Like, no one's got 8K TVs. No one. Mm-hmm. It's just the litmus or the limit of what you want from a console. I think is just met with what the PlayStation does already. Same with the Series X.
We just need developers to actually optimize their game on what's here.
Yeah, I would agree.
I
would agree.
On release.
Speaking of developers and console optimization, this isn't something I put on the news list, so this is going to surprise you.
I'm going to say, how are you doing all these connections?
You got to have the good follow through. You gotta have that. So, Todd Howard. You know who Todd Howard is?
Yes. Fallout.
Every single Bethesda game.
Bethesda. Yeah.
ZeniMax, anything from Elder Scrolls to Fallout, all those games, right? So Todd Howard, he's the guy that's released Skyrim on 17 different consoles since it's come out.
You talking about that space game that he's making?
That space game. That there space game? Yes.
Hey, you on down there planet hopping space game?
Yeah. So Todd Howard was in an interview on the Lex Friedman podcast this past week, which is a pretty big. Lex Friedman's an MIT computer science, machine learning scientist. He's an interesting guy. He's very stoic.
We confirmed that this guy's human? Or is he just a computer?
Lex Friedman?
Yeah.
Well, his personality is very stoic. So if you want to make the argument that he might be machine, I'm okay with that.
Has he ever sneezed and you hear the Windows shutdown sound?
No, he's just really all about doing crazy challenges to his body, and he loves Russian literature, like the real depressing stuff.
30 feet in the air.
yeah. He calls himself the Tony Stark of MIT. So
yeah.
He was on the Lex Friedman podcast, and they started talking about Starfield, right? And Starfield, people are wondering what it is, right? Because I mean, if you've played Skyrim, you have an idea of what this game is going to be like. They're not going to revolutionize. They're not going to change completely what they do, right? It is a space-based RPG, similar to how they make a Fallout or a Skyrim.
But it's not Outer Worlds.
It's not Outer Worlds. It's not
No Man's Sky.
It's not No Man's Sky. That point, though, so, they were weighing heavily, like, how hard science do they want to get with this game, right? Because they were doing a lot of research and all kinds of advanced physics and mechanics to like design even their space engines to a point that achieves some type of realism. And then they kind of got to the point that realism is going to get in the way with the fact that this is a game and it needs to be fun. So
yeah,
in this example specifically, the way they originally made the engines in the game, it was to the point where you could basically just run out of fuel and be stuck, and you'd have to just like waste hours of your time. And then they
like
basically
wandering through space with no deceleration.
Yeah, and so they they put something in the story with the game mechanics to make it make sense. Where like, oh, if you run out of fuel, this is kind of what happens, but you're not stuck. You're still able to have fun. So they're trying to balance that line of realism and entertainment, which, you know, again, it's a game. But he just talked a little bit about that, about the hardcore nature of survival in the game, how there's going to be different spacesuits based on the planets you're at. So makes sense. You know, you got to think, if there's a planet that has a lot of gas, you know, toxicity, temperatures, you're going to need different suits. There's going to be all kinds of different enemies. So at one point he talks about how they wanted to not go overboard with the planets, so they only kept it to 1,000.
Oh, that's cool that they limit it to just 1,000.
Yeah, it says they could do way more than 1,000, but they decided to set a limit due to the detail of naming them and having a distinct feeling about each one. So to think that was their reason and they still did 1,000, you know, like, are there?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Are there even that many different terror types, like terraform?
I know, right? Well, I know, yeah, 1,000 I can't, but like, I mean, you drive through Utah, you can see at least 30 different ones driving on a single road. So yeah, now that I think about it, yeah, like they could just take like what this scene looks like, Control F the whole planet, you know, or Control V on the whole planet. But yeah, 1,000, that's insane. It's like they kind of just like gave each person, hey, come up with 20 or 50.
Yeah.
And they just have a bunch of unique ideas. And then like 2 people did the snow planet and they had to battle it out who actually gets to make the snow planet. So unoriginal. But yeah, 1,000 planets, that's insane. If it's not not AI generated, but procedurally generated, then that's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of other good content in the interview. There's a Reddit post I'll post below after we do this, but I mean, it does seem like they're putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this game. And he was asked about console exclusivity. He was asked about, you know, where this game he enjoys playing it the most. He did say that before Microsoft bought them, that they were already working with Microsoft to really make the game shine for them. So it wasn't abnormal for it to be Xbox exclusive in the first place. But he ultimately decided why they want to focus on them first and foremost versus anywhere else too is because they want the game to play really well. Like they variables that you have to be concerned about when you're releasing on multiple consoles just automatically goes up by a huge cofactor, right? So
yeah.
You're going to be able to build your own base. They want to create a feeling of isolation and being alone because you're in space. Makes sense. So yeah, I'm excited.
Was that their argument for not including multiplayer?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe that's it. That's why they're saying that.
Like, we'll just say you're out in space by yourself, so no one's going to play with each other.
You know, so it does seem like there's a lot of depth. Planets will be level locked from what I've also seen as well. So just based on where you're at with your level, there's going to be planets you're not going to want to go to because you're just going to get whooped out of there. You know?
You imagine you pay a couple $1,000s to finally get to go to Mars, and when you get close, you aren't at level yet.
You just
like use yourself more. Yeah, you need to be at least level 40, and you're like, this is a lot of information. I didn't even know there was a leveling system on Earth, and now I can't even land on this planet.
You max leveled on Earth. That's how you're able to afford to get off the planet. But now
you got to do some leveling up in the asteroid belt. You can't come here yet.
Yeah, there's a bunch of side quests over there. You need to do this, and there's a specific weapon you have to pick up. Yeah. You got to get the Mars suit. It's similar to the moon suit, but different. Yeah. I'm excited again. Listen, if you're ever at a point where you see a game that's on Microsoft that you're curious about, but you know, you being a PlayStation guy, hey, you're like, can't. If you see a Series S cheap, get it, because a Series S does everything I think you're gonna want from a console, and it opens yourself up to everything that's on these new Xbox consoles. And it's really cheap. You know, I won't be surprised at the end of the day if it's the most popular SKU of the new Xboxes. So I just say that if something like this really gets you interested, or if anyone out there listening gets interested in, you know, they have a PS5 but they really don't want a Series X, I'd say get the Series S. You know,
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I never considered it because it's just that Sony has everything I've been wanting. But I've
yeah.
also because of that have closed myself off from any news of games or anything having any interest in
You
those.
you were a big Skyrim fan, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
came out 2011 November. Uh, yeah, that was like a horrible time for a game to come out because that's like right before. It's like 2 weeks before finals, and Skyrim came out or it was like a month before finals came out. And Skyrim, yeah,
Yeah,
played
that
that on the PS3.
I don't remember. I remember Greg had to have played that game close to when it came out, but he didn't have a PS3 at our apartment. Maybe.
No.
So yeah, I don't know what he played it on. You probably would have watched you play. Was that when you were living on
Downstairs, yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
South Street.
Yeah. Okay. I remember. It was a weird room that I barely remember. It was very dark. Lots of things covering the windows.
Well, you were unconscious. So.
Yeah. Well, anyways. All right. So I think that's it from my perspective. Was there anything else you saw gaming news wise?
News wise, no, you have to get some kind of like travel authorization to even enter South Korea and the Philippines now. That's my news.
Is this different than like visa approval?
Oh yeah, dude, it's like ETA. I think it has to do with COVID. They just want you to fill out all this stuff about vaccines and stuff before you even get in, and there's like a little fee because you're doing this stuff online.
Yeah.
And then there's one for the Philippines, same exact thing, but that one's free.
Interesting.
It's just kind of like they're weaning out the people that are, didn't get vaccinated and stuff. They don't want you there. But it is just something while you're checking in at San Francisco Airport, they're like, oh, here you're going here and here. Okay, we need these documents from you right now. Like they ask you for it before you even get on the plane.
Yeah. I know Japan recently opened back up after having some pretty strict travel policies in place too. I know they weren't basically letting anyone come in. It didn't matter if you were vaccinated or not. They just shut down completely. And yeah, I've not been to South Korea. I love Korean barbecue, especially in Asia. Very good. But if you could get your flight through Narita in Tokyo, you're going to open yourself up to like a plethora more of those Naruto figures you have behind you.
I've been to Japan. I've been to Tokyo.
Oh, I know.
And I saw all that stuff. It felt great being like, surrounded by it, because you go to stores around here, even in like Japantown in San Francisco, there's exactly like 3 stores, used to be 4. Well, it used to be 4 and then one of them moved and became a different store, but it's kind of had the same stuff, but now it's just 3 stores and, it's just cool being around it all. But then when you go to Japan, it's like the entire district has all this stuff.
Yeah,
there's a lot of questionable stuff in some of those stores over there. I was very surprised.
Yeah, I'm not, but that's a different thing.
Like first floor figures, second floor, can't mention it. Third floor, just posters and stuff, keychains, and the fourth floor, but it was just like
Home Depot supplies. Yeah, and
yeah.
And it does, yeah, I know, yeah. I will say this. Do you remember Devour Games was invited to go to the game show there? And
you were supposed to go there.
Then COVID hit.
March or May of 2020.
Yeah, COVID hit. I did get an email notification the other day. I have to talk to my team, but we have been invited back, same time frame for the 2023 show. And realistically, I don't know if it could work or not, but I would love to take a trip just to get there. Now, who knows if I'll create some type of geopolitical crisis with my background and all the things I post.
Plan that thing. Here we go again.
Yeah, but that's my wife. We want to go to Italy. We want to spend at least a month in Italy. We want to see Rome, Sicily, all that, and then Japan and all those other places we want to hit up too. So one day maybe with your third wife. I'm kidding. With your wife, after your third wedding. Yes. Let me clarify that for our viewers and listeners. So yeah, I think that's exciting. I'm excited for you. I think it's gonna be a good trip. If you see any little Dragon Ball Z gacha machines, you want to bring something back.
The newest ones is from Heroes, so there's not going to be anything there that I don't have already.
Wasn't talking about you. Because last time I went to Japan, I brought that stuff back for you. So
Yeah.
do you remember that? I brought like a freaking book bag full of stuff. Spent all my Vietnamese dong to trade in my currency and get it into Japanese yen to get that. Anyways, now games we're playing, and then also maybe favorite games of the year so far. I know when we get back from the Philippines, we want to do like a top 10 games. 2022, kind of like we're gonna battle out, we're gonna fight, you might bleed again, not sure, but just in terms of games you're playing, have you been playing anything else besides what you mentioned, Pokemon and that Kingdom Hearts game?
Marvel Snap,
yeah. So to that point, a card-based Marvel game, I just spent today, I got it up on the YouTube channel here.
We were killing it with transitions today. I do not even know how. Like, you brought up Kingdom Hearts, I'm like, oh yeah, Star Wars, and then you're like, well, speaking of Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, and then here we are talking about Marvel Snap, and you really, really, really want to talk about Midnight Suns.
It's a gift. It's years and years of education. So, Marvel Midnight Suns, played it for about an hour and a half, and it is fantastic from what I've played so far. So these games probably don't appeal to everyone. You know, it's a turn-based tactics game. And obviously, set in the Marvel universe, it's based on a pre-existing Marvel storyline, the Midnight Suns. It's a lot to do with demons, angels, you know, conquering evil. The main antagonist in the game is Lilith, which in Jewish folklore is Adam's first wife. It's more of an unorthodox, not a very popular theological story. But that's the reason why. Have you ever seen the television show Frasier?
Yeah, with...
Frasier.
No,
Kelsey Grammer. Yeah. His first wife in that show is named Lilith as a reference, because I think his wife in that show is Jewish and she's also just a pain, and so they named her Lilith because Lilith in this tradition is just not a great person. So
discourse.
Yeah. Castlevania games, there's always enemy types named Lilith and all that stuff. It's a common enemy in any games that have strong, like, you know, good religious undertones to them. And so Lilith is the main bad guy, and just leaving it at that, you're assembling a team. Imagine that in Marvel. And it's just the combat works. The card system is very fun. And all of this sounds boring, I'm sure, to people that aren't interested into this type of game. But I think this is the type of game that if tactics was never your thing, you could get interested in this because of how fluid the gameplay still works, and also how, what's the word? It's challenging. Like, it's not just super easy. Even Mario Rabbids, it's very similar to that type of game in a lot of ways, similar to XCOM. Those games have a challenge to them that surprises you. This game is no different, and I'm just excited to see where it goes with what I saw in the first like hour and 15 minutes. So, is the game released right now, or it came out last night at midnight? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I get it. Midnight Suns. Okay. That's why they didn't call it 11 p.m. Suns. No. Yeah. But to that point, it's only on next-gen consoles and PC. I think they are doing a last-gen release, but that's been delayed. So Switch, PS4, Xbox One is delayed at the moment. PS Vita. Well, yeah, that's coming out 2024, which is funny because I kept posting things on social media and on my YouTube page, like, what game are you excited for that's coming out next month? Midnight Suns is one of them, and people would be like, the game's delayed. I'm like, huh? No, it's coming out. There was always this dissonance where someone would say, like, the game's delayed, and it's because they have a PS4 or whatever. That makes sense to me now. So yeah, I would say check out the first impression. It's, like I said, it's uploaded on YouTube here. I took an hour and a half of footage and turned it into 13 minutes. That's editing skills right there. I'm proud of that. I won't do it to this show, but it's good. I wanted to get Callisto some time with Callisto Protocol. I haven't yet. Have you heard anything about this game so far? I haven't heard great things. I don't know what to expect. I've seen a few snippets of it. It looks good. The one thing that surprises me is people say that it heavily emphasizes hand-to-hand combat. Have you heard this? Yeah, well, that's weird because... Oh, no, I just heard that there's, like, not much variety in the enemies.
or like many main bosses or enemy bosses. But like even the one mini boss, you can't do any hand-to-hand combat. You can only shoot and dodge, and he's like 6 inches from your face. But
Okay, interesting.
a lot of the stuff, you're right. No, a lot of the gameplay I did see on the skill up review was, it looks like grapple finishers in other games, like how you'll be fighting for a little bit, and then there's just like you press one more time and it does a quick,
Yeah.
It looked like a lot of that, and I don't know how much of that is manual, is someone pressing square to like do this, or is that just a quick animation because they hit grab? But you're right, a lot of it was hand to hand. I didn't see a lot of the gunplay, but it looked great, and that's the only thing. But people were just saying it's just not much variety,
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a try. Like, I'm at that point with Steam where if you pick a game up, you can return it if you don't play so many hours, and if you return it in time. So I can do that with this game. I will say a game that's very close combat and it's horror based, not typically something I'm excited about. Like, I'll play a horror game if I could shoot some things. So it's gonna be interesting. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about that one. But yeah, that just came out. Yeah, interested. I'm real interested for what's coming out next week.
I know. I'm going to be. Is that coming out on the 12th or the 16th?
I thought it was the 10th, dude. It might be the
No,
12th.
I think it's the 12th, or it's the 16th, because that's actually a Friday. But yeah, I'll be in the Philippines. I won't be able to play that until I get back, and I'm just going to blast through it.
13th. You'd be able to download it on your Switch.
What are you talking about?
What I just said? If you wanted to. I know you got family and weddings and all that stuff, but
I thought you were talking about Crisis Core.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
It's not coming out on the Switch, is it?
Yeah, it's coming on the Switch. In fact, I think one of the first trailers for it was at a Nintendo Switch Direct.
But no, I'm getting that on the PS5.
Okay.
So I'll play it when I get back.
Apparently, I've got to have my 60 frames per second. So that's 60
frames per second.
this I don't play no Pokemon Scarlet. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I think that's the only other game coming out in December, right? That's got like some big hype around it.
Yeah, so for those people who like those games. So yeah, I can't do Game of the Year yet because this might beat it, might destroy God of War. So
going back to last week, how Sony gave that harsh comment to the UK and the Euro.
Yeah.
Like the Microsoft's trying to make us like
Nintendo.
And then God of War Ragnarok sells like 5 million copies, and Pokemon comes out 10 million in 3 days. Like, okay, yep. Gosh forbid you end up like Nintendo. But yeah, I think that is it. So yeah, speaking of Game of the Year, we'll like we said, we'll do that when you get back. But Games of the Year contenders, I would say. What do you think? What do you think's on your list so far?
I really do. I play a lot of games, and I play them like quickly. Like I sit down and I try to get it done in a week, because like I know something else is going to come up. So like I need to go through my log and see, like, I'm just going to go through my trophies and see like what did I actually play in 2022. But like off the top of my head, it's going to take a lot of convincing, but I'm already battling myself. But between Elden Ring and Ragnarok. But like I can't forget that Horizon Forbidden West came out this year, which was just a huge leap from the first one and everything. Like I replayed the first one like the week before that came out.
Yeah.
And it was just a huge leap. And it's the West Coast too. Like my favorite places in Utah, and Vegas was part of it, and over here San Francisco Bay. And it was so cool. To actually be playing a game that's like based around here.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those are the ones off the top of my head. But like I said, I have to go through my log.
You didn't play Ragnarok yet. You still have to finish the first one.
Yeah, but I understand what it was trying to accomplish and what it did accomplish. And I've watched a lot of videos and stuff. Like, I'm just not doing the grinding and the stuff, but I've watched playthroughs online because I'm like super curious, because I know I'm not going to ever have time to play that game anytime soon.
Yeah. I that's a game that I think you can talk about and respect in a way without necessarily playing it. But yeah, I want to play it, but I just won't have the actual chance to do it. So, no, we'll see. I don't know. I'm excited about the prospect of Crisis Core, right? A game like that, I think I could easily.
You ever play the original?
No, but I know enough about what's underneath it to know that I would probably like it, and especially since it was very much a hack and slash type RPG, which just
with a little roulette system in it at the upper left too.
Interesting. Obviously, Pokemon's a contender at the moment, but I'd have to go back and really see what's on my list too. Like I had a lot of fun with Halo Infinite this year. I had a lot of fun with Diablo 2 Resurrected. I've played a lot of games I thought I'd never play this year. So, I think we'll have to set parameters around like games obviously released in 2022 and all that. Yeah. But yeah, well, I'm looking forward to talking about it. Just looking at the list here, there are a few more games that might get some chatter about. Need for Speed Unbound. People were talking about this Need for Speed game in a way where they haven't in a long time. Like not since like Hot Pursuit have people been like hot on a Need for Speed. So I am curious to see what that game ends up doing. And High on Life, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or if you've seen anything about that. That's made by the people behind Rick and Morty.
Oh, okay.
That should be coming out in December, it looks like, and that's actually a Game Pass game as well. So I mean, that's a game I could easily try with no harm done. But it's first person shooter with heavy Rick and Morty type comedy, which used to like that show, but now after so many seasons, I'm like, I think this might be annoying. I don't know. I'm of the.
Is this what people saw 3 episodes in?
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that the best comedy Dan Harmon's done is Community. I don't know if you've seen that show. So
no,
that's a good show. You should watch that show. Community is a good show. Yeah. Anything else you want to share with our lovely viewers before you're not going to be back for next week? So, well, actually, you might if you wanted to. If we could do an episode before Friday.
Yeah, I would say before Friday. I do gotta like pack and like make sure everything's ready. But yeah, if we did it before Friday,
yeah, it'd be interesting. We can talk more about that and see what we want to do for that. I'll have to replace you for a few weeks, but I'm fine with that. When do you get back again?
Dude, it's so weird. I leave the Philippines Monday night at 11 p.m. and I will be arriving here 9 a.m. Tuesday morning.
Oh, so what date?
Tuesday morning. It's like the 27th or something.
Oh, you're gonna be there for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. Christmas in the Philippines is off the chain. They decorate for Christmas months in advance.
They're already. Joy's already there. It's already decorated. Yeah.
It's decorated. I think in October, September. I think it's just like a cultural tradition. So that'd be a lot of fun. Make sure you get some Hallow.
A lot of the schools do projects like make big decorations. They choose like a theme every year. Like, all right, everyone make a star, and like classes will make this huge like 6-foot star, and like they're on display like as you're traveling around. Like, oh, there's that school star. Oh, there's that school star. That's what was there in 2019 when I went. But it looks like it's every single one of them's different, and they use different materials, or they decided what theme they wanted to use for it. But it's cool. It's just like decorations.
That's really cool. Yeah, that'd be a fun time. I'm sure experiencing Christmas in the Philippines with your family is going to be a special moment. So I hope and pray for the best. I hope you stop doing that weird thing you tend to do about eggnog. But that's a personal issue. They don't have that.
You got some?
No.
You got some? I'll come over. You got some?
We got a whole barrel full of it. Yeah, we got a whole barrel full of it.
Mark has a whole barrel of eggnog. I should fly out there and confirm this.
Yeah, and then you get here. Just kidding. You want to play Mario Kart or Gears of War?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll hopefully be back next week. Like I said, we'll have to replace you in the time of your absence. So anyone viewing,
I was gonna get a haircut and shave this off before I go. I could just leave a ball of hair on the table and you can just talk to that.
That'd actually be really funny. If you want to take a picture of that, there's Victor in the background. I can't think. Well, I can see him on the Discord, but he can't. He's not on the stream.
Can't see it on the actual stream.
Yeah, it was just funny. It's like who's that person on the ground back there? Yeah, we got some eggnog fans in the chat. Peter earlier in the chat said, "What the world needs is a Pokemon, but rated M." I'm a fan of that. I think it's under the radar. Under the radar, a lot of those Pokemon games, like we were just talking about, when you're killing these things on the side, you're just getting tails. Yeah.
You said rated R Pokemon game. I just thought you go down to the restaurant and you pick out the Krabby yourself, and then they boil that thing alive, and then they serve it up with some garnish. Yeah. And it looks exactly like
a crap
happy and everything the meals look on there, and you're like, the kids are screaming. There's a milk tank getting butchered in the back.
Listen, you can you can drink the milk from a milk tank. You could eat the milk tank itself, right? If you have no issue with the animal product from that. And my wife said technically humans have milk, and obviously if you follow that logical conclusion, you don't eat humans. But I'm not worried about that type of logic. I just want to eat some Pokemon. I'll eat Krabby. I'll eat milk tank. I'm curious, and I'm gonna. This is a video I'm working on too. But like, what about a Diglett dog? You know, does a Diglett is just one? Is it just a straight thing? Does it have a bottom to it? What does that look like underneath the ground?
There are artist renditions of what's going on underneath of that hole or the ground for dub trios and stuff. I don't know. I think he looks like a simplified mole, but like that's all you ever see is just that part. So is he just like a little half a cylinder,
just little paws like this?
Like if someone ever picked one up, is it just a flat bottom
with paws? Yeah. I don't know, but I would totally skin that thing and put it on a bun with some ketchup and mustard and relish and go.
I always thought that thing was a rock. Like everything you're talking about, I don't think there's any flesh in there.
It looks like a mammal.
It looks like a piece of dirt that came out of the ground. It's a dirt Pokemon.
Yeah, well, I've eaten other things that look like dirt from the ground, and onions are good. So
Wiglet is based off of like an eel or like a certain fish. That makes more sense.
But if they're related though, and they look alike. One's on the beach, one's on the dirt. All right, it's happening. We're doing Diglett and Wiglet dogs.
Big Wiglet dogs.
Oh, this has to end now.
What trio actually looks like a hot dog? He's the red one, and there's 3 of them. You could get your money's worth on that. I don't know why you're not trying to eat a Wug trio.
Oh, no, I'm doing Gen 1 only. That's where my mind's at right now. So,
okay.
All right, well, Alex, sign off to our lovely viewers.
All right, bye. Oh, sorry. Bye, everyone. Have a safe holidays. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, you'll see him next week, but the week after that, he'll not be here. Not permanently.
A ball of hair.
Yeah.
Just go with the ball of hair. I'll put a flannel right next to it.
Yeah, we'll just capture your image and put that on the stream.
Yeah.
So, see everyone. God bless.